My name is Chu Machinye, and I am your family lawyer. Now, let's dig even a little deeper into some enduring peculiarities of some of these customary inheritance practices. Let us explain what they mean in plain language in a manner that will not leave you in any doubt about whether they should be continued or discontinued. Every ethnic group in Nigeria has its own unique inheritance practice. I think this is clear. And they often reflect their cultural and traditional values. This is also a given. Despite the variations, however, common themes include the importance of family ties, the roles of the community, and cultural heritage. I'm persuaded that you do not expect us to be able to discuss the order of inheritance or patterns of inheritance of every ethnic group in Nigeria. The order of inheritance varies across different ethnic groups in Nigeria, and they reflect their unique cultural and traditional heritage. This episode is, however, expected, at the very least, to create awareness of the need for you to know what applies in your ethnic group and the implications for your spouse and children. So after watching this, just turn to an elder from your place and ask, the family lawyer says I should find out what applies to inheritance in the place where we come from. Please tell me about it. And you will thank me later. I spoke a little earlier about the need to dig a little deeper and give you in plain language the fundamentals of what we're talking about. One of that is the fact that there are a few themes that run across our cultural practices. And it's either patrilineal or matrilineal. Patrilineal is where you inherit through your father. Matrilineal, in plain language, is where you inherit through your mother. Nigeria's culturally diverse country has different ethnic groups, each with their own unique practices and traditions. When it comes to inheritance and family lineage, some groups follow the patrilineal practices, which I just explained, while others follow matrilineal or bilateral practices. I do know that in Cross River State, the core people and the Ejagan people generally are matrilineal. But let me just define it formally for you. Patrilineal practice involves tracing descent and inheritance through the male line, where property and social status are passed down from father to son. And this is prevalent in many ethnic groups, such as the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Ibibios, the Nupes, the Hausas, and the Fulanis in northern Nigeria. All follow these patrilineal practices. Of course, tempered always by religion. The implications are that they prioritize male inheritance and may limit the rights of women to inherit properties or participate in decision making. For those who are matrilineal, the practice involves tracing descent and inheritance through the female line, and property and social status are passed down from mother to daughter. I'm told that in places where they practice this, the thinking is that the line of the female is more assured. For the male, you might need DNA testing. Some Nigerian ethnic groups, such as the Jaws, the Kwas, the Ejagan people in northern and central Cross River, practice matrilineal inheritance. The implications include that women would have greater autonomy and rights to inherit property, which can promote gender equality or inequality where the men are disfavored. It often emphasizes the superiority of the female lineage. And as I just told you, it doesn't require DNA to establish that a woman is the mother of a child. But for a man, you are told that you are the father. If you're in doubt, DNA might help you. Well, the one that most people do not know about, I actually had never heard of bilateral practice until I began the research into this episode. It involves tracing descent and inheritance through both the male and the female lines. How this is done, I don't know, but this practice is prevalent in some ethnic groups such as the Ethics, where I lived for a long time, but I never knew that it's called bilateral inheritance practice. The property and social status are passed down through both parents, and you can inherit from both sides. Implications: bilateral practice can promote greater flexibility and equality in inheritance and family relationships. Then, of course, there's what I talked about earlier, primogeniture, which is a practice mainly in Igbo land and eastern parts of Nigeria. The Bibios as well, and the Edo people in present-day South Nigeria follow primogeniture. The eldest son inherits majority of the property. Some others, like the Hausa Fulani, follow Islamic law, which dictates specific shares for each heir, but apparently women are disfavored. Now, the role of women and their inheritance rights varies significantly across ethnic groups. Some groups, like the Bibios, the Edos, and the Igbos, have traditionally excluded women from inheritance, while others, like the Efiks, the Ijaws, allow women to inherit property alongside men. Let us now bring all this jargon home with stories of real life dramas that took place in Nigerian courts, where the fate of women and their inheritance rights were decided. The family of Mojeku experienced one of such incidents, and the matter was decided way back in 1997. Mr. Lazarus Mojeku died without making a will, leaving a widow and a daughter. Under the Oriekpe custom of Nnewi, I hope I pronounced that right, in Anambra State, only male members of the family could inherit. The widow and daughter were denied access to their benefactor's property. This custom was queried. Is it valid? In the face of constitutional rights to freedom from discrimination, should we accept this? The Court of Appeal, as per Nikki Toby JSC as he then was, held that this custom was discriminatory and should be struck down, should not be allowed to stand. He declared, and I quote him, "Any custom that discriminates against a particular gender, and particularly women, should be abolished." The court therefore decided that discriminatory customary laws are repugnant to natural justice, to equity, and to good conscience, and cannot override the Nigerian Constitution. This case marked a turning point in the battle against gender-based discrimination in customary law. It affirmed the judicial authority to strike down customs which violate human rights. Of course, many decisions following this have clarified that while courts must respect customs, they must not uphold unjust, unfair, inequitable, or bad customs. Now, let me also tell you about what happened to Mrs. Maria Enekwe, whose case was decided by the Supreme Court in 2014. Following her husband's death, Maria was asked by her father-in-law and her brother-in-law to vacate her matrimonial home on the grounds that under Oka customary law, Oka is the capital of present-day Anambra State, under that custom that a widow without a male child has no inheritance rights. Maria challenged this practice in court, and the court had to look into the validity of this customary practice that denies inheritance rights to widows who do not have male children. And it had to make a decision as to whether such customary practice aligns with the principles of natural justice, equity, good conscience, and whether it is in conflict with our Constitution. The Supreme Court held that any custom that denies women, particularly widows, their inheritance rights is repugnant to natural justice and to equity and good conscience, and therefore cannot be enforced. The court condemned the practice and affirmed the widow's right to inherit her late husband's property. Maria was restored to her husband's property with her child. So, let's be clear. If you are practicing such, note that discriminatory practices against women, concerning inheritance particularly, are not allowed in this land and must be stopped. And it has to be stopped because these practices against women and children leave widows and orphans who are ordinarily vulnerable, leaves them, exposes them to poverty and to exploitation, and it stunts the possibilities of a child fulfilling his or her potentials in the time to come. Now, my final word on today's episode of Your Family Lawyer. This episode was curated specially to provide clarity about intestate customary succession. And this is where culture and family and the law often collide. While families play a central role in upholding traditions, courts are increasingly stepping in to protect individual rights, particularly the female gender rights. If you or your loved ones are dealing with succession issues, please immediately seek legal advice and do so early, especially when custom conflict with modern law. You have an opportunity, you have a chance to take that which is rightfully yours. Talk to a family lawyer and do so now because it's teach in time, it is saved. Saves 9. Let me thank you for your time and for joining me on today's episode of Your Family Lawyer. Be sure to subscribe and share this episode for the benefit of anyone navigating inheritance matters, and indeed for the benefit of your family, the benefit of your friends. If you need consultations with a lawyer, please call us today and dial the number on your screen. In the meantime, stay informed and be empowered. And please, by all means, be good to your family. My name is Chuma Chinye, and I am your family lawyer.